Oi, oi, oi.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. No, we do an ASMR intro to our podcast, but now Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi.
All right, let's talk about UFC Perth, and it needs to be said, the UFC's done a really good job lately, in my opinion, but this card was lackluster to say the least. But the main event was pretty awesome and had an insane finish, so we're definitely going to talk about that. This card had its moments, but the main event is really what we want to cover because obviously it, you know, really a big deal in the light heavyweight division. And then we also have some huge news right after we talk about this, which we'll get to. But to start off with this main event, for those of you who didn't see it, spoiler alert.
Carlos Ulberg. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi! We're just getting like all of our Australian subscribers like unsubscribing. And we're like, no, like these stupid Americans. But yeah, Carlos Ulberg starches Dominic Reyes in the first round. Massive right hand at the end of a nice combination. Some ground and pound really finished the job. And to be honest, like where I really wanted to start with this is that this is the moment that Ulberg needed to really like cement his status at the top of the light heavyweight division because, if you remember back in March when we did the live podcast and the live show, we watched his fight with Jan Blachowicz and it was a lackluster win. And so he gets the ranking, but a lot of people still weren't really on the bandwagon. And this is the type of win that you need to really like have that signature moment and then build your name even further and get people excited to watch you. Because I think that this was the big difference between this matchup and the Blachowicz matchup. This fight, Ulberg starched Dominic Reyes and did it super impressively. In the Jan Blachowicz fight, it wasn't as impressive of a win. And I think that a lot of fans kind of gave him a hard time because of that, including myself, honestly. But this was the type of win that really makes you stand out in a division right now that has a lot of top contenders. So but to talk about the fight itself first, and I guess we'll get into the title picture. Me personally, I just kind of thought that it didn't look good for Reyes right away because Ulberg was immediately able to back him up and he did a really good job at keeping his range and he was so much faster in every way. And I think that definitely helped him. I don't think Dominic Reyes has done a very good job in his career so far in fighting backing up. A lot of his losses tend to be while he's backing up like this, and this was really no different. So Carlos Ulberg stays at the top of 205-pound division. Just what did you think of this matchup and what we ended up seeing?
So Carlos Ulberg pretty much found the range first, and so Dom Reyes, kind of in typical Dominic Reyes fashion, he just went to empty the tank, and he got smoked because of it. Carlos Ulberg, gotta give credit. You have to give credit to Carlos Ulberg the way he was able to angle off of it and immediately put on the combination, the left hook, and then finish it with the right hand. So that is one of the more impressive finishes of the year so far, especially at the 205 division, where if this was just a fight, not that Dominic Reyes is like ever fighting for 5 rounds these days, but if it did go the distance, it would have taken some real convincing from Carlos Ulberg to say that he can to be confident that he can beat either Yuri Prohashka or Khalil Roundtree, or just get the title shot right after the result of the Ankalaev Pereira rematch.
I mean, it's definitely possible. That's what I mean when I say that this was like the type of win he really needed because, he already had the ranking, like so it's not like you couldn't have even considered him anyway. But when you have like super close fight, kind of a boring fight in his last matchup, even though he beats a former champion, he just wasn't really getting a lot of the
That's what I
credit.
mean.
So
If this fight was more in line with the Blachowicz fight, then um, I
people
think
still probably wouldn't be considering
he'd
him.
be in a pretty like limbo spot, which is like, dude, I mean, if you beat Dominic Reyes, it's like that should kind of propel you, but at this day and at this point in time, well, even with Dominic Reyes coming off a 3-fight winning streak and with some pretty good names in there like Anthony Smith and Nikita Krylov, like I said earlier, I said before the show, you said the Dominic Reyes fight these days is either ending with him knocking somebody out or he's being the one knocked out. And honestly, the latter is kind of
It's
more.
happening more and
It's
more.
more and more. Um,
It's hard to see, man.
I think everyone kind of already would pile on and bully Dominic Reyes about his chin and how it's weak. He kind of leaves it hanging, and if he doesn't tag the guy first, then he's gonna be the one getting tagged. And yeah, this time around, Carlos Ulberg just he found the range and he put it together. He put together a pretty nasty combo, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think that this definitely propels him like right into the title picture. I mean, we have on the pay-per-view next week, Ankalaev is rematching Pereira, and obviously on that card too, Yuri Prochazka versus Khalil Roundtree Jr., which I think is a massive fight and will definitely impact what happens next with Ulberg. There's a lot of different scenarios though. I mean, if Ankalaev beats Pereira again, I'd say it's more likely that you get the winner of Khalil versus Yuri, just because Ankalaev, he still hasn't really dealt with those guys yet. But if Pereira wins, obviously he's already beaten Yuri and Khalil, so I think that would probably open the door for someone like Carlos Ulberg. And I do feel like the UFC wouldn't mind putting him in that type of situation. They seem like they really like him and they market him well, especially in that region of the world, in like Australia. So I think
the
it's
gym, the gym too.
yeah,
Kickboxing.
that helps.
So these guys have kind of all made their stamp, and now it's kind of Carlos Olberg's turn to do that. And so a win like this is gonna definitely help his case. So
For sure.
especially when you're main eventing your hometown's card. So
Very true. And there are a lot of Aussies on this card too, and like I always like that when the UFC adds like a ton of local fighters to an event because that brings the crowd into it a little bit. And you were hearing stuff like before the fights about like during fight week how the tickets maybe weren't selling as well before this one. Probably because they charge about $1 million for nosebleed seats, but that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, I mean, this card had a lot of interesting moments to say the least. There was the one I was talking to you about this before the show when Jake Matthews basically submitted Neil Magny and still lost because the ref stopped the fight but didn't stop the fight. Bit of an interesting situation there, but overall, I think the main event is the big story of this card because this has real title implications, and it's going to have title implications very, very soon because of all the action going on next week. But what's up, guys? Sorry to interrupt the podcast real quick, but we have a message for you guys.
if you enjoy the Her Hamburg's content, you want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like on the videos, all sorts of fight content as much as possible, podcasts, interviews, vlogs. We have it all over here, so thank you, appreciate it.
We appreciate you, and like he said, please subscribe. And now, back to the show. Speaking of all the action going on next week, we're going to try and cover UFC 320. We think we'll be able to, but the reason why we might not be able to is because next week we are covering BKFC 82 live from the Prudential Center. Got media credentials, so we're really going to get some interesting access. Pretty much the plan for this week. There's a media day on Wednesday. Stay tuned for some video uploads of each like interview or media spots and maybe some articles on our website. Thursday and Friday, obviously there'll be some video content from the press conference, both weigh-ins. And Saturday night, big night of fights, obviously. Mike Perry defending his King of Violence title against Jeremy Stevens. Frankie Edgar coming out of retirement to fight Jimmy Rivera. And then we're having the first ever Queen of Violence title fight on this card too. And it's just going to be an insane experience. Obviously, like for those of you who've been watching us for a while, you've kind of seen it get to this point, which is still kind of crazy. You've been with us for Combat FC, back when we covered Shane's fight in New York. And now we're about to be covering a huge BKFC event at the Prudential Center as official media. So that's just
the Her Handbook's headed back to the Prudential Center for some to cover some more fighting, this time as official media members. So
beautiful Newark, the
gonna,
other city by the bay.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of names you guys know involved with this card, obviously, and it's a lot of interaction going on with them. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
sure.
We're hoping we'll
some
get
bare
some
knuckle
cool content. Yeah, it's gonna be nuts watching that live. And then, after that is UFC 320. Obviously, 2 title fights on there. The rematch that we were just talking about, Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira, and then also Merab versus Corey Sandhagen. Right? Is that on this card? I think it is. I could be wrong actually about that one.
No, I'm pretty sure. This is a pretty
stacked
card.
Yeah. And then besides that, like I mentioned, Yuri Prochazka versus Khalil Roundtree, Josh Emmett versus Yusuf Zalal. Man, I'm ready for it. This is going to be a crazy weekend of fights. And like I said, this week, expect a ton of content from BKFC from us, both on our website and on the YouTube channel and on social media, to be honest, too. And I think it's going to be cool because we're going to get 2 different perspectives, because I'll be in the whole media pen doing things, and then Tiz and Jim will be filming a vlog from the fan perspective. So that'll be up on the YouTube channel probably on Monday next week. We have a very fun
so Rob's
lineup,
going to get some great coverage involving everyone involved with BKFC. Some stuff that you might never thought you would hear, you might get to hear. Courtesy of Rob. So, and then me and Jimmy are gonna also add on some A1 content from the experience and just how a BKFC event runs and stuff. So they're stacked. This is a pretty big one. They stacked this one a lot. So
yeah, this is a BKFC card that you want to watch, and a perfect appetizer for the UFC, in my opinion. It'll lead right up to the main card. So it should be a really fun Saturday. And like I said, stay tuned. The channel, the website, our socials, everything's in the description if you guys want to check that stuff out. But until we put out this content, we'll see y'all.
Feels just like a superstar. Doing all these drugs, I don't think I'm gonna see tomorrow. Living fast, brand new dash up in a foreign car. It's the type of shit that you be doing.